How's it going, guys? Welcome into Rover Sports here, and I wanted to talk about, some breaking news in the NFL, and that's Todd Haley getting fired, but John Morton of the New York Jets getting released and getting fired by Todd Bowles and company and staff. And I think that this move by the Johnson family and by Todd Bowles really can help out Todd Bowles in the long run. Because I look at John Morton, and I wasn't really a fan of John Morton from the time that he was, inserted into being in the Jets culture. Because, John Morton's philosophy was to not turn the football over, and he didn't really take chances. He would overcoach these guys. Christian Hackenberg is slow feet, but instead of simplifying the game for Hackenberg, he just made the game more complicated to a point where only Josh McCown was the only player that really could understand this guy's system. He would run the ball in wrong spots. The game against Denver was a terribly called game. The game against the Chargers, there were no routine throws for Bryce Petty. He just made it very difficult. In the red zone, the guy was terrible. He continued to play Matt Forte and didn't play Bilal Powell, and Bilal Powell has a lot of upside. And with Hackenberg and Bryce Petty, with those quarterbacks, he tried to make them into this West Coast, let's drop back, 7-step drop, let's go through progressions, and he doesn't simplify the game. And even though even though he called a good game versus Kansas City, there was no consistency in this guy's play calling. Was run the ball twice into the line of scrimmage and throw on third down. It was if you throw on first down, it's an automatic run right up the gut on second down. There was no creativity, no big plays. And again, he just made the game very complex, and he wouldn't encourage his guys to take chances. A lot of times you look at these offensive coordinators and, they're so focused and gung-ho on not turning the football over that it sometimes interferes with their ability to actually take chances and find success. You look at Brett Favre, my favorite player to watch as a kid, and Brett Favre, even though he threw a ton of interceptions, he played with reckless abandon. He would make incredible throws, and he had that fearless balls to the wall kind of gunslinger mentality about him. And he would push the ball, and he'd lead his team deep into the playoffs just about every year. He was really a consistent superstar, and that's why he was a first ballot Hall of Famer that made it to two Super Bowl games, won one Super Bowl. And, if he had better defenses, he would have been close to, winning more Super Bowls with, Green Bay. And with Minnesota, he came within a minute of making another Super Bowl. So the point is, when you look at some of these prospects, some of these kids, and I just love having a coordinator that is able to stretch the field and play aggressive football and go for touchdowns. And, if you don't have a Kyle Shanahan offense that is just, very precise and very, unique and dynamic, then you're running into a situation with these coordinators where essentially then you're playing to really protect the football at all costs. And you look at the NFL game and the college game, we have so many interesting run-pass options. We have so many coaches that take chances. The reason I like Pete Carmichael and Sean Payton are because on 3rd and 1 late in the fourth quarter last week, they called a wide receiver pass. And they're always surprising defenses. They're always dictating plays. They're not stuck in their old ways. And that's what John Morton was. He's a guy who literally has been taught everything. He doesn't have a lot of creativity. He doesn't do things his own way. He doesn't have a unique style about him. And he was going to hold the Jets back to a point where they'd be one of the worst offenses in the entire league. And now that the Jets are planning on drafting another quarterback in this year's draft, I think it's very exciting now that the New York Jets can hire another offensive coordinator. Now, these are the names that are going to get mentioned. It's Todd Haley from Pittsburgh that I think Todd Haley's a dynamic play caller. A couple of times he'll make he'll make you scratch your head with a couple of run options, but he's a big play guy. Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, that's an offense that is very explosive all the time. And I think that if he had a better personality, like if he was able to get along with Tomlin and Big Ben, then he'd be a complete and total rock star. So I like Todd Haley. My favorite call of 2 years ago, or a year ago, was when they were in Pittsburgh, or they were in Kansas City, and on 3rd and 2, they threw to win the game. And I love coaches that late in the ball game, instead of just handing the ball off and punting and wasting clock, I love coaches that throw for the win on 3rd down. And Todd Haley's been pretty successful in this NFL, so he'd be a huge upgrade over John Morton. Now his personality does kind of rub me the wrong way, and for like a guy like Mayfield or Josh Allen or Kirk Cousins that's going to come into the mix, I'd want Mayfield and Allen over Cousins, by the way, for the Jets. It's paramount that you get along with guys. Jeremy Bates is from that old same school as John Morton. I don't want Jeremy Bates to really be the offensive coordinator of the Jets. I would take Todd Haley over him. A couple of names, though, that I would like. You saw Mark Helfrich get a job. Mark Helfrich, the former coach of Oregon, who's going to insert some up-tempo principles. I look at Matt LaFleur. I think that LaFleur would be a really good hire for the Jets. He can, and then if Todd Bowles flames out, he can be the head coach. Matt LaFleur of the Rams had a great system there. I look at Kevin O'Connell. I think his name is the Redskins quarterback coach. The Niners QB coach is some Italian guy that is a good offensive mind too. So I think the Jets should look outside the box for their next hire. Hugh Freeze, former college coach, really good X's and O's guy who had some personal and wasn't controlling his boosters at Ole Miss, but in terms of just calling plays, in terms of a guy who's learned from his mistakes, Hugh Freeze is already in the running for multiple SEC offensive coordinator jobs. If he wanted to go to the NFL, it would bring such a different dynamic to the Jets. I think that he would be a very interesting look at a hire. I think you can look at Kendall Briles and the success that he has had at FAU. You look at Oklahoma offensive coordinators if you get Mayfield, and also Brett Vegan, who's the quarterback's coach of Wyoming. I just think that some of these names are guys that I would certainly be looking at if I were in position to make a hire. I would interview guys long and far for this position, but it was a big step yesterday for the New York Jets to get rid of John Morton. And it took some guts, and now they are headed in the right direction. I think Jet Central, I've talked to him a little bit. You guys should check out his video on his opinions. I won't spoil it. But he definitely has a much more in-depth perspective because he lives Jets football. So you guys can check that out as well. I'll try to get him on the podcast, and we should be spending some time actually in person next week. Alrighty, guys, thanks for tuning in. I had a Matt Wyatt interview today. You guys can check that out as well. Really nice move by the New York Jets. This is the move that needed to be made. Out of Darrell Bevell, Todd Haley, all the different offensive coordinators, this was the one that I think made the right and best decision to get rid of their offensive coordinator and really going to try to find somebody very creative. All right, we'll see.